Kaiser.
I may not be able to buy a great gift because I'm poor, but I want to do something that no one else is doing. I will bring the head of Medusa.
Why you always gotta bite me for? You're so aggressive.
No one has ever returned from Medusa's island.
Oh, you can't watch this because it's a cutscene.
But for Perseus, there's no turning back. It's a matter of honor. He can't get out of it. He has to bring the head of the Gorgon.
Mano a mano.
If Perseus succeeds, he will return
Leave
to
it.
the hero,
No.
to the statue to challenge the king and protect his mother.
Drop it now. Leave it.
Leave it.
He'll be turned to stone. In Greek mythology,
Don't bite me.
Perseus and Medusa are forever linked. The consummate hero and the ultimate monster.
Quit biting me.
Hey.
It is a story that began here, among these ruins. This is ancient Mycenae. According to legend, this once great civilization was founded by Perseus himself.
Mycenae was the greatest of the ancient city-states back in the Bronze Age, and it wielded sway over a large swath of ancient Greece.
For millennia, it was thought that Mycenae, just like Perseus and Medusa, was a myth. The only surviving reference to it was in Homer's epic story, the Iliad. But in the late 19th century, a lost civilization...
Oh yeah, I got a boss fight going. Nice.
Using Homer's epic poems as a guide, archaeologists in the 19th century were actually able to locate these great ancient citadels. And what an amazing adventure it must have been to find out that not only was Homer talking about something that really existed, but now they themselves were in contact with it as well.
Mycenae lies near Argos, the city where Perseus was born in the myth. Its ruins are a window into the people who invented the story of Perseus and Medusa, ancient Greeks, who used mythology to explain life's mysteries. The city's structures were so massive, later generations of Greeks believed they were built by gods.
They would look at the ruins of those palaces and see monumental masonry. This was a kind of feat that they couldn't imagine themselves doing. It seemed like something that only heroes could do.
It was from these ruins that the story of Perseus sprang. The hero remembered for building the city and taking on Medusa. It is the ultimate challenge. Perseus confronts it with the bravado of a boy who is eager to prove himself.
You got your eye, I saw that.
I am driven, sometimes funny, and carefree. Independent, educated, and determined, and powerful, adventurous.
Leave it on the bed.
Do you want the scary stuff?
No, he was so low.
Stuff. The all-time classic. Don't go in there. Watch the reporter stuff. And the make you shudder stuff. And you also want all of this too, right? Well, we're AMC Plus, and we've got only the good stuff. There's nothing to be afraid of.
A man. But he is woefully unprepared for the task at hand. Perseus has no weapons, no experience, and no idea how to kill his target. Another piece that makes Medusa so terrifying is that they wouldn't have had a real sense of exactly what she looked like. Anyone who had seen her before Perseus would not have lived to tell the tale. So all you knew about her...
Will y'all fucking stop?
So hideous that if you ever caught eyes on her...
God damn.
He stalked out and began his adventure. And it wasn't long before he realized that he had no idea where he was going. But as heroes often do, and especially heroes whose fathers are gods, he soon gets supernatural aid.
Lost in the wilderness, Perseus does what many ancient Greeks would have done under the same circumstances. He prays, and the gods hear him. His father Zeus sends down a divine messenger, Hermes, who gives Perseus the jump start he needs. A pair of winged sandals.
One of the things that Perseus has to do is travel long distances very fast. And being an era without airplanes, he can experiment to offer a solution with sandals with wings that he himself, as a messenger of the gods, uses. So he gives them to Perseus, Perseus wears them, and he can fly through continents at the speed of faster than a jet.
Now that Perseus has a set of wings, what he really needs is a set of weapons.
Perseus has got everything going for him. I mean, he has divine blood, he's got great powers, he's been brought up to just on the cusp of manhood. He's ready to take on these nasty beasts.
Let's go.
But he needs more. He's got to have technology.
Hermes offers Perseus an inside tip. He advises him to locate the Stygian nymphs, beautiful women who possess the magical weapons he needs to kill Medusa.
The nymphs are these female divinities who are associated with natural elements, and they inhabit them. So they are in springs, they're in mountains, they're in trees.
They're typically the objects of deep and powerful sexual desire. And from this, we get the idea of a nymphomaniac.
The whereabouts of these nymphs are a mystery. Only 3 hideous women know how to find them. The Grey sisters. They have been old, withered hags since the day they were born. And they
I will investigate.
Perseus must get them to talk, so he can save his mother and survive his face-off with Medusa. It's a battle we can still see in today's
What
night
happened
sky.
to let her play with him? Oh. She's inconvenient now? I wish you would.
Oh, yeah, that's why you're scared. Nah.
I don't know
Medusa,
where my bag
a deadly gorgon, has turned countless warriors into stone.
I'll go
But
grab
someone is still
No,
stalking
wait.
Perseus, and he wants her head.
Lay down.
His success will require more than
Lay down,
boyish
what?
bravado. Perseus
Oh,
will need a powerful
yeah.
set of weapons to slay Medusa. To get
Lay
them,
down.
he must find the Stygian nymphs. But only 3 wretched old women know where they live. The Grey sisters.
They're very strange. None of them have eyes except this one that they pass between each other. Whenever one wants to try to have a look at something. So they need to share it. Their eye is very precious to them.
The island of the Grey sisters is a dark road, and even the moon does not shine. Perseus uses his trusty winged sandals to get there.
Perseus is also not just, a hothead and brawny, but he's also pretty clever. When he gets to the island, he realizes he should do some reconnaissance and find out what their weaknesses might be before he proceeds. When he realizes they all have the one eye, and they're blind while they don't have it, he steals the eye from them as they're passing it around.
The sisters fly into a blind panic.
They're in a very abject position. It's like a beggar having his last farthing stolen from him. They're falling all over each other trying to get that eye back from him.
Perseus has the upper hand. He demands the location of the nymphs. The Grey sisters reveal that they live on the river Styx, the waterway that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead. Perseus has what he came for. He tosses the eye onto the sand and takes to the skies. This is the myth. But how does it connect to reality? This story, like many others in Greek mythology, may literally have fallen from the sky. Since the dawn of civilization, mankind has looked to the heavens to explain the past, present, and future.
An awful lot of storytelling revolved around the things that you saw in the sky, the constellations that you see. Certainly we know that an awful lot of myths were tied to the constellations.
We have in the 5th century groups naming the constellations by the names of mythical beings, and at that time, people not only saw the mythical creatures up in the sky as symbols, as mere representations, but they actually believed that the constellations were divine.
You know, we could have seen more stars at that time too, where these myths are based. Like, those stars would have all been visible, but now we only see like just, you know, the outlines and not the all of the stars together. Lilith, I don't know what she's doing.
One especially curious pattern exists in the heavens. A hero holding a curved sword and the head of a gorgon.
Lay down, bitch!
This is the constellation known as Perseus, a celestial blueprint for the myth. But there may be more to this cluster of stars. It may also reveal how the story of the Grey Sisters originated.
The constellations themselves
Lay down! Lay down!
You got me. Whoa.
Stay.
Okay, now. Catch the live news, sports, and shows you love with 85 plus top channels. YouTube TV. Try 2 weeks free.
I'm not playing with
did things that inspired portions of the myth. The second brightest star in the constellation of Perseus is Algol. Now, Algol is a very peculiar star.
In the Perseus constellation, Algol forms a point on Medusa's head.
you. Lay down.
It is known as an eclipsing binary star. It appears as a single point of light in the sky, but it's actually 2 stars that orbit around one another. As they go, they eclipse each other's light, making Algol appear to dim and then get bright again.
Stop. Leave it.
Cycle that may have inspired the story of the 3 Grey Sisters.
Algol is very bright for a while, and then it goes out rather rapidly every 3rd day. This represents the stealing of the Eye of the Grey Eye by Perseus. And as it tries to pass through the 3rd Grey Eye, Perseus is in there among them, and he steals the eye. And when he takes the eye, you can see it go out. Well, if you're a good storyteller, and you have track of this, you know when the star is going to disappear, so you can start telling your story when the star is still bright. And when you get to the part of the story where Perseus has stolen the eye, you can point it from the sky and say, look, it's gone.
Algol's impact on the myth may not end with the Grey Sisters. Some experts believe it also inspired the climax of the story, Medusa's gruesome demise. The myth continues. Perseus is on a collision course with Medusa. The odds are stacked against him. To take on the monster, he needs the right battle gear. He finds it along the river Styx, the gateway to Hades, where he encounters the Stygian nymphs. They present Perseus with 3 weapons essential to his survival. The sword of Zeus, the shield of Athena, and the helmet of Hades, god of the dead.
It reminds them irresistibly of James Bond getting all the fabulous devices from Q, not only because he gets all these things to carry out his mission, but because they also have magical properties to them.
Now, Perseus is ready to fulfill his destiny. And not a moment too soon. Back home on the island of Syracuse, a royal wedding is in the works, and Perseus's mother is the unwilling bride. Will her son slay Medusa and bring back her head before it's too late? And how can he succeed where so many others before him have failed? The secret lies in his shield. Perseus's dangerous quest for the head of Medusa has taken him on a journey over thousands of miles. Now his moment of truth has arrived. stands at the threshold of Medusa's deadly lair. The gods helped him get here, but the rest is up to him.
All this around Medusa is rocks, very hard things. Anything that would have been living would have been turned to stone. So it must have been a very bleak and desolate place.
Perseus is frightened as he takes the first steps toward his fate. But they are not steps forward. The young hero is slowly creeping backwards.
Perseus is very smart, and he realizes that trying to attack Medusa head-on would be his own undoing. He'd be turned to stone. So what he does instead is get his shield, turn it around, and actually approach her from behind. And he walks up to her backwards, looking at her in his shield so that he's safe. You can imagine the tension building as it gets closer and closer. As far as he knows, the shield will protect him, but he must not have really known for sure.
Perseus cautiously makes his way through the lair, eyes locked on his shield. The slightest misstep will prove fatal. At last, Perseus locks onto his target. Closes his eyes. And swings his sword. With one clean stroke, the head of Medusa rolls to the floor. Her years of torment and isolation are finally over.
There would have been great fascination for Medusa among ancient audiences, and whether they were rooting for her or rooting against her, there would have been a great kind of sympathy for this poor person. I mean, think about what she'd been through and all that she'd lost and the horrible life she was fated to live, and then her endpoint is to have a hero chop her head off.
It is a tragic end for a tragic figure. But Medusa's story doesn't end here.
One of the remarkable things about Medusa's head is even after she is dead, even after it's been removed and stuffed in a bag, it still has the power to transform anyone who looks on it to stone.
Medusa's unstoppable and terrifying, but those forces can also be harnessed, and Perseus' story talks about that. When the head is inside the bag, then it becomes a weapon that can be used for good as well as evil.
Perseus is now the owner of the most dangerous weapon on Earth. He can turn anyone to stone, and he has a few targets in mind. His mother, Danae, has been left with no one to protect her from the lecherous king of Serapis. She's about to be made a queen against her will. For Perseus, it is a race against time. As the hero flies home, it becomes clear just how powerful Medusa's head still is.
As Perseus is flying with his winged sandals back across to get to Greece, drops from her blood drop into the sand, and from this spring up hundreds and hundreds of poisonous snakes.
If I could describe the aviation community in one word, it would be family. Camaraderie. Multi-dimensional. Unique. Tight-knit. Tough. Awesome.
At T-Mobile, we believe you should get more. Introducing Magenta Max, unlimited premium data that...
Nasty monsters at Antiquity are so mean and so awful that their blood actually produces other monsters. Medusa is one of those that have such powerful blood. The dripping blood from her head as Perseus was flying away was thought in later tellings of the story to have given rise to all the snakes that ancient Romans knew to exist in North Africa.
Alright, so hold on.
In the myth, the royal wedding day has arrived. The father of the bride has come from Argos. Perseus' own grandfather, King Acrisius. He has long feared the prophecy that his grandson would kill him. Perseus arrives just as the wedding ceremony is getting underway.
When Perseus returns to Seriphos and sees that his mother is about to marry the king, he becomes very angry. So he lifts up the head of Medusa and says, "King, I have brought you your gift."
One glance turns the king to stone, his face frozen in an eternal scream. But he's not the only king who gets caught looking. Acrisius is also petrified. Danae has been saved by her son, and Perseus has earned his place as one of mythology's bravest heroes. His death-defying journey has transformed him from a boy into a man.
Perseus is particularly relatable among the ancient heroes. He's cast out at different points along the way, and only because of the extra love of his mother is he able to make his way through some very difficult times. He makes his mark in the world, and he grows into his own. He becomes a real, true, powerful hero, someone that the Greeks can look up to.
After he saves his mother, Perseus presents Medusa's head as a tribute to Athena, the goddess who created the monster. In the end, it is Medusa's original Punisher who inherits her power.
There's a poetic quality to the ending of this story, as Medusa's head becomes the icon on the breastplate of Athena. After all, this poor young girl started off this great misadventure by running afoul of that goddess. Athena has the first and the last laugh.
What the fuck, man?
Medusa's story has come full circle. Our myth ends where it began, in ancient Greece.